So now we're going into the level that's the second most aesthetically appealing in the game, Techno Base. I mean, just look at this background. Although I guess complaints can be made that the background is kind of, I guess, seizure-inducing, especially there. But you have to keep in mind that normally this game is played on a small GBA screen, and GBA games tend to look washed out, so they tend to overcompensate with the brightness so that it's easier to see on the original GBA screen, which didn't have a backlight for some bizarre reason. The GBA SP did. But anyways, this is Techno Base, and this is the part of the game where I think it starts getting a little more frustrating. Like, there's a lot more bottomless pits here. Most of the gimmicks from the previous levels have returned. There's also those platforms that you land on them and you bounce off them. And every enemy in this level is annoying. I hate the enemies that are floating above you and they drop things directly below them. Especially since this is a game where you're going to be running forwards a lot. And, like, it's easy for you to run fast and then you get killed by them. And I'm pretty sure I would have died if I hadn't done an up trick there. There's a lot more bottomless pits in this level, and I mean, I at least like how, just like in Sonic Advance 1, all of the level gimmicks change aesthetic to fit the level itself. Yeah. It's good to just make sure you hit the springs or you'll probably end up dying. But, of course, this level is still pretty fun, just, I don't like that pink enemy, because there's a lot of times when the enemy is jump here as fast as you can, because if you don't, then the platform will fall and you'll fall to your death. But anyways, I don't like the pink enemies because usually they're invulnerable, and it's only select times when you can jump into them, and they can be cheaply placed. This is a fast and fun level though. It's just that starting with this part of the game, it starts to get harder. One of the things that I really like about Advance 2 is how much more convenient it is in certain aspects. Like, in all the previous 2D Sonic games, springs were kind of a pace breaker because you had to jump onto them specifically in order to get them to launch you. This game brings back the concept of Sonic Chaos and Triple Trouble, where you just walked into the springs and they would launch you. And I love that, it's so fast and convenient. And not only that, but item boxes. You can just walk into them and you'll collect them. That's something that no other 2D Sonic game does until Rush came around. I think anyways, it's been a while since I played Rush. And another thing that's convenient and keeps the fast pace going is that you don't necessarily have to walk right into checkpoints to activate them. You can just soar above them and they'll automatically activate. In Advance 3, they undo that change, which is annoying. Because sometimes it's like you soar over the checkpoint and now you gotta go back. Kind of a nitpicky thing, but I just love how this game is so good at keeping the fast pace going. And I love the trick system. Like, I love how you can do an up air trick, so it can prevent you from falling to your death a lot of the time. It sort of works. It's the same reason that I appreciate the idea of the double jump, because it helps you save yourself. And see, I just jumped into that enemy and I didn't kill it, but earlier I was flung into the enemy when I was curled up to a wall and that did kill it. I hate how inconsistent they are. Something that you probably noticed by this point is that I've only played through the game as Sonic. In Sonic Advance 1, I would make a point of showing off every single character. Well, there's two reasons for that. Well, three actually. The first is that generally the characters in this game work exactly the same as they did in Advance 1. So there's kind of little point to showing off the characters again when I already showed off how Tails and Knuckles are in Advance 1. Second, Sonic is all around generally the second best character to fight the bosses with because he has the air dash. And so he can get to the bosses a lot faster rather than constantly feeling like he's being cheated out of opportunities to attack. Like, that's one of the things that annoy me about the boss fights, is that even though they're supposed to be all fast feeling because you're constantly running, and that's the theme of the series in the game, you feel really slow when you're in the boss fights because you take such a long time getting from one side of the screen to the other. And so you feel, your character feels really heavy and slow. And the air dash does a lot to mitigate that because you can go forwards really quickly. But the problem is that the air dash being on the double tap means it's easy to do when you don't want to. And it's hard to do it when you actually want to. What I showed off right there was that if you hold up on the control pad, you'll do the idle animation. Which again is really stupid. The game's multiplayer is similar to Advance 1's. There's race mode, collect the rings for the single pack mode, and the same opponent attacking power-ups along with one called attack. In single pack mode, every player controls just like Sonic, and it takes place in a circular design leaf forest. The rules are basically the same as in Advance 1, except there's no co-op. The music is pretty meh. Pretty forgettable, to be honest. There's a lot of new gimmicks here, the bouncy things. There's the green floors that they're only there sometimes, so you've got to kind of rush to get past them, because if you don't run across the green floors quickly enough, they'll disappear. There's also those things, the moving blocks, and the green spears that bounce you upwards, which I like. I generally like a lot of the gimmicks, and I like how the blocks that move when you're on them, they have arrows on them to tell you right away what direction they're going to be moving in. Although I really hate the blocks that fall when you land on them, because they fall a little too quickly. So if you don't realize that you're going to land on them, you spend so long standing still because you're reacting to them, and then you end up dying. This is yet another boss that I really hate. Basically, when the lights on the platforms are flashing red, when the lights are red, that means that it's not safe to land on the platforms. I don't really think that whether the platforms are colored gold or silver means anything. You can still land on the silver ones just fine, so I don't know why they're different colors. But obviously when they have spikes on them, you can't use them. And when the lights are red, the spikes are going to show up, or... Oh, I think the gray platforms, the difference between the gray and the gold platforms is that the golden ones have spikes, while the gray ones rotate. Either way, it means that you can't use them to jump onto Eggman. I mean, I like the fact that once you get above Eggman, it's possible for you to deal multiple hits of damage to him if you're in exactly the right position. But the annoying thing is that it's really tense when you have 0 rings left and you're waiting for more rings to show up. And he'll always fire exactly 3 energy balls in a row at you. And when you play this boss as much as I have, it's very easy to remember that he fires 3 of them in a row at you, and so what you have to do to dodge them is jump over the first one and then immediately jump over the third one. Because if you don't do that, if you don't immediately jump as soon as you land to jump over the third one, then you're going to die. And one of the most exhausting parts of the boss fights, especially the later ones, is you have 0 rings and you're waiting for the next rings to show up. I think if you keep on collecting all of the rings in the boss arena, eventually rings will stop appearing, and if you lose your rings, thankfully the rings will show up again. So it's not like you can screw yourself out of having your rings respawn. And the rings of the arena always respawn, which is good. Cheap! And I'm pretty sure I was in ball form when I was launched from that cannon, so I really shouldn't have gotten hit by that enemy. This is easily my least favorite level in the game. There's a lot more bottomless pits here. There's anti-gravity gimmicks, so they're really not that bad. There's moving spike balls, there's a lot more bottomless pits, especially below here. Like, you have to jump at exactly the right time. And if you don't know that you're being sent up to a grind wheel that you have to jump to reach, then it's very easy for you to die when you're on those things that slide downwards. And I always hated the poles that you swing around on, and you have to press A at exactly the right time so that you get flung to the right. Because it always feels like they're finicky to me. And I don't know if you're expected to go upwards on those vertical poles, because I don't know how you're supposed to do that. There's also the launcher chairs from Wing Fortress Zone here, and that's another cheaply placed enemy. I think I should have just done a forwards air trick there. Maybe it wasn't cheaply placed. That is, though. That's a really cheaply placed enemy. I don't like that enemy at all. And sometimes it can be kind of confusing figuring out which parts of the level are anti-gravity. And yeah, this part of the level can be confusing. And another thing that annoys me about the anti-gravity gimmicks is that cheap. That's so cheap. You get hit by it and then it knocks you into, and there's barely any checkpoints in this level. It's checkpoint starvation. So if you die, you get sent all the way back to the very beginning. That's so exhausting. I hate the buzz bombers, and what I was saying earlier is that you expect the controls to be changed because you're upside down, and so you expect that you have to hold down in order to do the up air trick, because suddenly you're doing the up air trick to go down. But that's not how it works. So that's why I showed off the downward air trick there. But yeah, I don't really like this level. I don't like how there's so many bottomless pits. I appreciate how the aesthetic is all bright green and stuff. It's still kind of a boring level though. And I don't like that. Why are there so many buzz bombers everywhere? This place has got cheap enemy placement. It's got a lot of bottomless pits. Like, that's one of the things Dimps is most infamous for, is bottomless pits. The main thing that you're going to be dying from in Advance 2 is bottomless pits. And with Advance 3, it's crusher blocks. Although I don't think crusher blocks are nearly as much of a problem as bottomless pits are in this game, and especially Rush. I hate that spike ball. I was expecting there to be spikes there, but thankfully no. The cannons aren't too hard to deal with. I don't like that enemy though. I hate sections like that, where it's like there's a really low ceiling and there's a crusher block, so there's really precise timing between trying to, it's like it's easy to get crushed by the crusher blocks, and that's something that happens a little more in Advance 3. In this game, crusher blocks aren't that much of a problem. But look, I'm down to 2 lives already, even though it says 1 there. For some reason, this game is one of the games that thinks it's a good idea to have 0 be counted as a life. I love the fact that you have invincibility there. You just ran right through all of those enemies. You may have noticed that I'm collecting a bunch of special rings. Well, a bunch of. Like, I only collect them when they're there. I don't go out of my way to get all of them. That's because in order to access the special stage in Sonic Advance 2, you have to collect 7 special rings in a level and make it to the end without dying. So not only do you have to one life run the level, but you have to take all sorts of different routes in order to collect every single special ring. You pretty much need a guide to know where every single special ring is, and the levels in this game are not always designed for backtracking. Sometimes there's a special stage ring on the higher route, but then there's another one on the lower route, and so you have to backtrack and go all the way to the lower route to get that one. It's like the special ring system is really awkwardly placed. So you can't blame me for not bothering to get all of the special stage rings. I will show off how the special stages are like in the extra video. But again, I'm not going to be showing off all of them, especially since they all essentially look the same. So I will show off the Supersonic section and basically what happens when you get all of the Chaos Emeralds with all the characters, because that's another thing. For some reason, this game locks away unlockables until after you collected a full set of Chaos Emeralds with not just Sonic, but with other characters as well. In Sonic Advance 1, you could collect all the Chaos Emeralds with any character you wanted, and that was considered fine. Which made sense, because it was like the friends of Sonic were helping him out. So Tails would collect all the Chaos Emeralds, and then he would give them to Sonic. And speaking of unlockables, you may have noticed at the beginning of this game that we didn't have the other characters unlocked. We only had Sonic. Well, this brings me to my third reason for why I'm only playing through the game as Sonic. You see, not only is it that Sonic is the best character in the game for me to play, like he's the fastest, he has the air dash, and not only is it that I've already showed off all the other characters in Advance 1, but you only have Sonic unlocked when you started off the game. And in order to unlock other characters, you are forced to beat the boss fights with Sonic. Which is really stupid. I don't know why that is. Like, if you're playing through the game as a different character, then the game is supposed to be their adventure. So why is their adventure different by having the other characters they have to rescue not show up because they're not Sonic? That doesn't make any sense. Why do you have to unlock the character? It's especially annoying in Advance 3, because Sonic isn't the best character to play as in Advance 3. But I'll talk more about that later. The point is, it's really annoying that you have to unlock characters with Sonic. I think you still... No, you don't get the character unlocking cutscenes if you don't unlock the actual characters. So it's like if you beat a boss that would unlock a character with the wrong character, you don't actually see the character you were going to unlock during the boss fight itself. Like, you don't see Tails being dragged along with the Eggmobile. And when you go to fight Knuckles in Sky Canyon with any character other than Sonic, the person in the Eggmobile is Eggman. Which doesn't make any sense, because just because you're playing as a different character than Sonic doesn't mean that Knuckles shouldn't have been tricked by Eggman into working for him. That's a cheap enemy. Like, you just fall right into it. And because of the screen crunch, you have no idea that it's coming up. You pretty much have to memorize the level to know that's going to show up. For the most part, though, I do really love this game. Although I guess one argument that can be made against it is that it kind of... there's not really that much to it, because generally the levels have the same gimmicks and they're all fast and fun. I really hate this part of the level. Mainly because I suck at timing those things. So it's a really good thing that you can spin dash into a spring, and rather than being stopped by like in every other 2D Sonic game, it launches you. And it launches you with the horizontal momentum that you had from the spin dash. So doing that, you can completely skip the other... Why does it send you straight into a spike? So you have to jump off the wall, and only then can you get to the other spring and avoid the spikes. At least the level doesn't go on for too long, but it only says 3 minutes there because the timer doesn't keep going when you die. I spent a lot more than 3 minutes on it, especially since I lost all my lives and had to do the whole level over again. This is another boss that I really don't like. Thankfully, its hitbox is restrained to the very bottom of its legs, I guess you could call them its feet, and the Eggmobile itself, which you jump into to damage. Like the chains that connect the feet to the Eggmobile, you can jump right through them. Imagine how annoying the boss would be if you couldn't. But this is basically an anti-gravity gimmick boss. Like, basically you hold up to switch gravity so that you're on the ceiling. And the cool thing is that when you're flying towards the ceiling, you can then hold down, and you can curl into a ball. But it's really annoying how I always try to do the insta-shield when I'm attacking a boss. And because of that, I'm constantly spamming the A button. And so, I'll end up messing up in this boss fight because I'm constantly spamming the A button. See you in the next part.